Hey, what's up? It's Sunday night, August 29th. About to go into the reddest month of the year. Going into September. September, October are usually down months. The SPY usually puts in a negative 1% return. However, 1% is nothing in today's market, so we might see a good 5% pullback. I don't know. We'll see. I do have some calls, but I'm going to focus on puts again. We jumped in NVIDIA at the end of the day on Friday. No, in the beginning of the day. And it just looks top heavy to me. I think we're going to get a nice pullback on NVIDIA. Back when the housing market crashed in 2008, the houses here in the Midwest, in Kansas and Missouri, they didn't really lose much value because they also didn't appreciate very much. But the houses on the coast, they crashed, lost more than 50-60% of their value because their price went up so much before they appreciated more. So I'm looking for the stocks that have exploded, and this had a split. NVIDIA did. I don't even remember how much it was for, but it would be well over $1,000 a share right now, and the company might be worth that in the future, but it's definitely not worth that right now. So I want to look at stocks that are overextended, overvalued, and because those are going to be the biggest, the ones that will correct the most when the market does pull back. So we got in NVIDIA early. I'm making 230, just a round number, my stop. If we go over 230, then we'll just move on. But for right now, I'm in. The original call was here. That my prediction was we would gap over it, which we did in the morning, and then pull back through it and come down and retest some of these moving averages and eventually come down here and kind of do this microphone pattern, go like that, whatever. But it didn't. It gapped and ran. So I just kind of put that and AMD on hold, but went ahead and got in on Friday. Speculation. I think when we get, and we've talked about this before, when you get a pattern that kind of goes like this and then goes up, that's like the last attempt of longs to try to keep it going. And the next week the shorts are just going to pull it right back down. You'll get a little bounce, and it'll make a little pumpkin, for Halloween, right? Anyway, that's the pattern we're looking for, so I would assume that we'll come up, start to correct. The longs tried to take it on a Friday, which is always green anyway, and Monday it's going to just completely take out this green candle, and then it can start to correct, and we might bounce at this 50 again. This is the 50 exponential moving average. It's where it's bounced before, so it might bounce again, and we'll see if we can get 200. We might have to get into something else, but I'm going to hold this for a while just to see how low we can get it. I think it's just too extended. It's just too far away. So we'll see what happens with that. NVIDIA, Apple, I also said on Friday, go ahead and add to position if you're in 145 puts. I think it's also extended on the weekly and monthly. We did have some correction here for a while, and so it can go higher. However, I think overall it's never retested prior highs, and eventually someday it will. So I'm in Apple short for now. 150.50 I think is my stop loss on that. But those are still valid. pretty much everything from last week is still valid unless we already got out and took profit. We had some pretty good winners last week. Rad, we're still in. It's got a long ways to go. It looks really good. We've kind of found the bottom here, and we're starting to break out of that. And again, these smaller stocks aren't going to crash as much during pullbacks. If anything, they're going to pop because all these shorts have taken it down, and now they're going to have to start getting out so they can short other stocks. And so we'll get a pullback, nice pullback. I mean, I think our target's only 20, but we can go to 40 easy on that one. It still looks good on the weekly. Now I got all this junk in the way, but I have strep throat. My kid started part-time preschool, daycare, whatever you want to call it. In the first week, he brought everything home with him. So, but anyway, I think, so sorry for my voice if it's cracking or whatever, but I think we'll get a nice pop over this moving average like these few times it's squeezed before. We'll get another run up, maybe to 22. So RAD still looks good. Anyway, we'll get into start with the calls first, since I'm already kind of on that. Donut looks good. Krispy Kreme, huge bottoming tail. It is red, but I mean it's at the top half. It's basically all the buyers are like, nope, not gonna let it go any lower than that. So now we kind of have a buy set up. Kinda. We're really supposed to wait till we break over here to get in, but on the daily it looked really good when we broke this downward trend. It popped up. Now we're consolidating. We can break over here and keep going higher. Our target will be twice the IPO price, which is 16, so 32. And if you think I'm crazy, look what DoorDash did when it IPO'd. Opened at 181, chopped down for a while, and then broke this downward pattern, and boom, went to the moon, right? 180 up to 255, so it didn't even make target really. But anyway, I mean, this is a daily chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, and it jumped $100, 139 to 200, 220. So yeah, DNUT can definitely go to $30. BTBT we've been playing around with a little bit, but I still like it long. It looks kind of like a buy setup. By buy setup, I mean go up, down, and then go up for the next leg. I like how it bounced off this moving average. That's kind of the base now, so that'll be our stop loss. And if we can take out this red candle here, I'll probably get in. I might wait and see what it does. I think this is a Bitcoin stock, which doesn't really look good right now. Looks like it's going to tip over. Maybe retest some of this stuff, and then it can go higher. But I don't know, we'll see. I like these green bars because that means there's still buying pressure. So we'll see what it does this week. BTBT, let's see if it over 1350. We'll probably get in 15 or 20 calls. 15 calls to be safe, 20 calls if you're cheap. And we'll retest this high and potentially higher. Again, this is one of those that I said the float is locked up. You see all these people bought here, and all the sellers that were wanting to sell got out. So that was the bottom. And as you see, there's not this much volume here to show that the move is ending anytime soon. So I would assume if we get another nice volume bar like this one here, does it show me the volume? I don't know, but if we get up here, then we'll get nice big green bars coming in soon. CODX I've been talking about a lot. I still like it. Same kind of pattern. This one has potential to really squeeze. See these huge squeeze bars here? So we could easily, break this $12. I think we'll get in $12. I'm already in 12 calls if you want to get 12 calls. You could say September 17th, 12 calls for 30 cents. And if we break it, we can rip. So I like CODX. I think it's a COVID stock. We'll see. We'll see what it does. Then I want to talk about my idea for the market. So as you can see, we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 green months in a row now, and we haven't seen that before, at least without a small red month. And I also want you to look at the size of a normal candle before COVID. Look how small these look. Look how small these look. Until around here where this correction started. Now if you look at the candles, I mean, this kind of move is huge. We never used to have a move like that. So when SPY corrects 1%, that's nothing. It can move 2% in a day, when that used to be a pretty big concern, right? So we got to figure out, what is a correct, what's a valid pullback. I don't know. I would guess around 5% or so. But if you look at this, I've been kind of playing around with different settings and stuff. If you go into your settings, instead of regular, you go into logarithmic, and you zoom out, you can see that we've kind of running into a trend line here. That every time it gets to this line, it corrects. And another reason why I think after 7 green months, we're going to get a nice correction. And now it could just continue to chop along the line as well and just never correct. But I think because we've had such a fast move up, I think we'll bounce off this pretty hard. I've been saying 390 for SPY forever. But we'll see if that happens. I would say probably you could get in November puts on this. If you look last year, our red week started the last week of August. September was red. We had a couple weeks of bounce, then we had a good one last sell-off before November started. So I would say November, December will probably be green again. But I think we're due for a pullback. We've been holding this on the weekly 21 moving average, which is on the daily is the 50 moving average, the purple line here. It's kind of where we bounce, right? So if you go back to the weekly, I would say our first target would just be the 21-day moving average, just like we tested here. Came back in October and tested here. So our first target would be like 430 for SPY puts. And we still have a little bit of room to go higher if we want to. Then we could also just blow through it and keep going because everything is meaningless anymore. But yeah, I'm looking to get some SPY puts, but I think instead of SPY, I would rather short the Dow Jones. It looks weaker than SPY. If you kind of look, you can see it's not as straight up. It's kind of gotten weak as we're going here, and now we're testing this 21 often, and I think we'll break it and we'll test the 50 on the weekly. So to short the Dow Jones, we will get in DIA puts. Pardon me. DIA puts for, we'll start with September for now, and we'll see. You can go ahead and get October or November. See if we can get back down here, 343. So you could say 354 puts off the open tomorrow. We'll make this our stop for now. 355. You say 355 puts off the open, unless we gap up, and then our target or our stop loss will be right here. But anyway, 356.50. 356.50 will definitely be our hard stop, 356.50. But I think, you know, instead of just going straight up, we've started to kind of correct here, just like IWM, and I think we'll come back down, and then eventually we'll fall back down to here. But we might just chop sideways more, and instead of correcting in price, we'll correct through time, and then we can go higher. But for now, I am bearish on the Dow Jones. It looks weaker than SPY, so let's short it instead. You could do 350 puts for the end of September, around like $4. Target would be like probably actually more like around here, this area, so 335. DIA short. Apple we talked about short. Apple is a Dow Jones stock. That's why I think it is going to come lower. It's going to break this pennant flag thing, whatever you want to call it, and come back and retest this. It's kind of been in this channel, and now it's not strong enough to get up here. It's showing weakness, so it's going to come back down here. 135 I think is our target for there. When we break that, then we can get down to our $85, $100, $85 target on Apple. So what do I have? I have Apple 145 puts for September 17th, or 135 puts for October 15th, if you want to do that. Honeywell is a Dow Jones stock. It looks pretty extended as well. It's just only been in an uptrend. It corrected once here. It was probably earnings. Oh no, this was COVID. That was COVID. So yeah, this thing's got a ways to fall, man. See how it can go up for a while, and then you'll just get a nasty pullback for months and months and months. So I assume eventually we'll have a bear market, and we'll just be in a downward trend for months and months and months, and we'll probably do something like this, like Twitter did. We'll have a diamond shape, and then we'll go back down. But anyway, regardless what I believe, we just follow the charts. So HON, I think this gap was where the upward movement kind of stopped, and we've been stuck consolidating sideways, and I think we're going to get a pullback again, kind of like we had one on here. We had a big green day probably on earnings here, but then it just failed to continue higher, so that means we're still sellers here. So we'll say Honeywell, these are cheap enough. Let's just do like, we got a gap to fill down here too still. So you could even get into like 220 puts and ride it down to 185. Something like that, or even 200 puts and ride it to 185 if you're cheap. Looks like 200 puts for October 15th are 60 cents. That's pretty cheap. And our stop loss will be, if we take out this red bar, then we can continue higher and then we'll short it again. But let's say for now our stop loss will be 233.50 HON. NKE is a Dow stock. It had a huge gap up on earnings, and that's gonna starting to get exhausted there, and it's gonna pull back. We might be putting in a little W here, and if we do, that's cool, because then puts will be even cheaper up here. But I would say for now, let's shoot for like 160 puts, and see if we can fill this gap too by October. And then Target is an interesting one, because I'm going to say calls and puts on this one. Obviously puts, because we are stupid extended. It hardly crashed during COVID and then came right back and just ripped new highs. So this one can correct. First target will be 235. Next target will be like 207, 205 area. And maybe we'll get a nice dip back down here to 167. Eventually on target, TGT, on puts. And then on calls, I only want to do this for a week or two. But if it looks like we broke this downward trend on Friday, and I think we might get one more push to the upside. Oh, I guess we didn't break it yet. Anyway, if we break this, let's get into calls. Over 251. Let's get into like 260 calls and shoot for 264 on TGT. And then when we get up to 264, 265 area, we'll short it for October puts and do it that way. So they might try one more time to get it up there. Last thing I want to look at is NIO. You guys know how I feel about EV stocks. However, I've been asked to look at this one. So I don't see this going. So the target's $65, right? The target's higher than 65 because there are leaps. But let's say 65 is the top for right now. It is possible that we put in a double top at 65, and that when we break this downward flag, or whatever you want to call it, bull flag, it can pop back up and hit 65, which would be great. So I wouldn't necessarily exit right now, but if you are in calls for January, it's definitely possible. But if you put in a new low, if this continues lower and puts in a new low under 30.50, or really 30.71, then you're in lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and I just don't see it working out very well. So if I was in 65 calls, I would probably hold them for now, and see if we can hold this weekly 50, because as you've seen before, we bounced once hard here, we bounced hard here, we might bounce one more time here, and we do have a gap to fill right here. So I do believe NIO can go higher. It just doesn't look like a strong enough stock for me to hold leaps in, because I don't think it's, I think it's just gonna pull back. It's probably a 60% pullback there, and it's gonna come back down, and it could go even lower than the original price. I don't know. I don't know anything about the company. Excuse me. But you would have to break this this flag area here. So I don't know. We'll see. But hope that helps. I'm gonna go take some cough medicine. Bye.